Welcome to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for a brand called DYNAMO Entrepreneur. We serve experts, gurus, speakers, authors, internet marketers, coaches, bloggers, people that are really making a difference by being an infopreneur, sharing what's in their heart, sharing what's in their head with the world so others too can live a life of well-being and joy. And do we ever have a great roster today of experts that are willing to share with you? We are going to start things off with Corrine Clapham.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm such a fan of what you're doing in your work. You know, I've been in similar lines of work in the past, you know, before I got into this TV show hosting thing. So we'll get into that in a sec. However, life is about a journey. And as we go on this journey, we have mountains and we have valleys. Do you care to share a little bit about your maybe younger years? Because we have a lot of young girls that are looking up to you right now going, you know, how can I do what she does?
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. There's a lot of mountains and valleys and ups and downs, and life is definitely a roller coaster. For my teenager years, especially like my preteens and my teens, they were not exactly the walk in the park. I was in a very deep depression during that time, and I had pretty big anxiety.
Okay.
In the midst of it, I thought that's all there was. I didn't know there was anything after that. So there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
And this is what I'm here for now, is to
Yes.
show that to people who are in the dark and just need that hand and need that comfort.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as a young person, you know, sometimes they lose hope. Right? They just don't know what's next, you know, and going through those teenage years in high school, it's difficult. It's difficult these days, especially now because everything is being recorded. You know, and a lot of these kids, they don't have that wherewithal, they don't have the skills or the coping mechanisms to deal with maybe being bullied on social media or just even in person. You know, personally, I was bullied a lot when I was younger, and I don't know if you were. However, it really scarred me in a way that molded some of the things that I did as a young man that led to a path of no good. I've turned everything around since. Have you ever had any situations like that that have scarred you?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gone through a lot. I think more so again with the depression, probably a lot of self-doubt in myself and in the confidence area. And I think teenage years is such a, there's so much going on with emotions and growing up and not really knowing what's going on. And I think it's just so important to have people in your life that are a support and inspiration.
Totally.
And now you're right, like everything is online. There's not as much connection as there used to be. So I think that's really important. And I think how I led to where I am, that was a big marker for me. And then later on in years, I had a pretty severe injury, physical injury. So that is also what led me to what I do now. So that's, I think what I do now is what I want to teach people so they know how to do it for themselves and keep in a place where they're grounded and they're balanced and they know how to handle emotions when they come up and they know what it is.
And it's wild because, you know, some of the work that you're doing now is speaking exactly to who you were as a youngster, right? You're helping and supporting and guiding and sharing this well-being with the people that really truly need it so they can shine their light. You know, so what is it that you actually do? If you were to share with us and with our viewers so they understand a little bit about what Corinne does.
So I teach mindfulness, I teach meditation, which I think is so key. I've noticed a huge difference in my life starting to have that, and I feel so much more grounded and balanced having that. I also teach Reiki, because I think it's important to not only have outlets that we can go to for our own healing, but I want to teach others who are ready to know how to do it on themselves and also to spread it as well. So I do that. I also work closely with people as a wellness coach. And my niche, I guess, or what I really specify on with that is getting to core issues, like what is driving these unhealthy patterns and habits and beliefs. And so once we can release those, that's when we can come, you know, from a better place. We can have all the goals in the world and the steps how to take it. But if we have these beliefs or patterns that keep bringing us back, like a ball and chain, there's only so far we'll get.
It's true. It's true. What really compelled you to get into this line of work?
I want to say I fell into it, but nothing is by accident, I don't think.
True,
so again, it was the injury. I saw so many doctors, so many physios, so many chiros, and it helped a bit, but not as, I wasn't making the progress as much as I had wanted to.
Yeah. And
I was willing to try anything, even if there was a slight chance of healing. So that's how I fell into it. That's how I fell into Reiki and healing on a cellular level. It was all for myself doing these things. And then I saw a huge difference and a shift. And then I was like, okay, I got to do this for other people now. So that's how I got into it.
Any big success stories, like maybe a client that comes to mind? Somebody that's had a really great success with some of the work that you've offered them?
A big success. Yeah, I mean, I think they all do in their own ways and their own stories, but a lot of people that tend to gravitate towards me are people going through a lot of transition. So to think of one person right now, it's not coming to mind, but I know like a lot of people come when there's so much distress or there's a lot of emotional or physical discomforts or diseases that they're going through, and to be able to work through that and see them shift from a place with a lot more confidence and a lot more clarity is amazing. Yeah, it affects your whole world.
Shift, you know? I think the whole world is waking up right now. I think the whole world is going through a transformational shift of awareness and awakening, you know, raising higher levels of consciousness and frequencies. And it's really great, the work that you're doing. And I'm noticing in the health and fitness industry, I mean, I've been in the fitness industry for a lot of years, almost 18 years, and it's starting to change, it's starting to shift. And I know you're experiencing a lot of this. If you were to put it into words, what do you think that shift is?
I think for two things, I think a big shift is now we're starting to realize it's mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
So when it comes to healing, it's not just the physical. It's mind, body, and soul. I think more people are getting way more open to this and starting to realize that now. There's starting to be more of an openness and a blend between Western and Eastern medicine.
Yes.
It's just on the brink right now, but it's like it's a step, which is great, especially with the new generation coming in now as doctors and whatnot. There's a lot more openness there. And you were talking about how people are just starting to wake up and a consciousness, and that's huge. When I do meditations, like I love bringing big groups to people and focusing on an issue or something that's going on that could use that love and support. And the more people we can get together that do it for ourselves individually, but together as groups, the more ripple effect in a positive direction we can send out, and the more healing that can be done on a subconscious level.
Do you prefer the one-to-one or do you prefer the one-to-many?
Oh, that's a great question. I love one-to-one because I can really have that time one-on-one and really dive deep with someone. But having a big group too has got its pros because it's nice to have so many. I just appreciate the people who are drawn and attracted to this. Like whenever I have a meditation class or anything that I do or a yoga class, having these people come, I always trust like whoever needs to be there shows up and they're guided to come. And I always love seeing who comes and shows up. It's such beautiful souls every single time.
Have you heard of the Echo Movement with Wayne Mooland? Have you heard of that?
I don't think so, not yet.
Actually there's a commercial that's coming up right after this. You should check it out. It's called the echomovement.ca. Wayne, he started something called the echo movement, and basically what they're doing is they're meditating at a specific time of the day, but depending on what time zone you're in around the world, everybody's meditating at the same time. So irrelevant of what country you're in, it's like a group meditation that's connected through the internet, online, all around the world, all at once. It's really, really cool. I'll introduce you after.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a couple on Facebook and joined in. I don't know if maybe it was that one specifically, but yeah, there's a lot going on, which is really
cool.
neat to see.
Really, a lot of people are being attracted to that stuff. Now, in your best words, if you were to say, you know, this is your last day on Earth and you're talking to the future generations of, you know, young girls that are maybe looking up to you, if you were to share a few nuggets of wisdom with the camera, what would you say?
I would say listen to yourself, listen to your body, because we have all the answers within, and we're in a society where we tend to turn outwards for things, for answers and for self-validation, when really it's all here. And the more grounded we get and the more balanced we get, the louder we can hear our intuitive voice, our higher self, our authentic self. And be kind to yourself, and ultimately being kind to ourselves, you'll be kind to each other. It's time that we start sticking together instead of being against each other.
I love it.
You're all amazing. You're here. Every single one of you are amazing. So feel it. And we should support each other when someone feels good about themselves. We should support that.
I support you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Awesome. Corrine Clapham, everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to take a short commercial break. This is episode 20 of the Dynamo Show. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. This is episode 20 and I am your host, James Erdt. Without further ado, we have a very special guest today, a dear friend of mine, Aditya Aman.
Hi James, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you here because I've seen your rise with your band, you know, and your solo career as a musician just explode over the past year. So I'm thrilled that you've, you know, made a little bit of time for us today.
No.
You know, so I would love for you to maybe share a little bit about your story. You know, how did you get here? Because you shared it with me the other day and it was just so profound, and how it actually led to music.
So James, I've been in Canada for the last 11 years. I was actually born in Abu Dhabi. I'm from India, originally from the south of India. So I came here to study engineering, and you know, I was able to do that. During the course of my education, I developed an intense interest in music, you know, rock music in particular. And that just, for me, it was like a whole new dimension had opened up, you know, and me as a guy, I'm a sensitive guy, so for me, it was like, you know, it was like clay, it was like chocolate, you know. I started tapping more into it, and I just found that it came really natural to me, even more than engineering itself.
Really?
So, you know, one thing led to another. I decided to write songs, do a bit of poetry, put both that and music as well. And, you know, I started playing shows over the last year, I would say, and recording, and and here I am today.
And here you are today. Now I know a lot of your lyrics they're so deep. There's a lot of meaning in those lyrics, and you know, I sense there's a story in a bunch of the songs that you write. You know, do you write based on your own story? Do you write, you know, based on other people's stories, or? So
honestly, like my songs, all of them are based on my story. They're very, I would say, biographical, and as well as autobiographical. Like over the last couple of years, I've learned a lot about myself. So I'm 28 now. I would say probably when I was 23, 24, I started discovering more of myself. And my whole life, up until a couple of years ago, I actually lived to please people. Like, I wanted to make sure I was liked, I wanted to make sure I was approved. And over the course of time, I realized that it's much more beneficial to me to be kinder to myself. I mean, don't go out of your way to not do things that, or to do things that would upset people, but, you know, put yourself first emotionally, right? So that's where a lot of the song material came from.
I love it. I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I sense too, you know, from your story, you had probably gone through a few things of valleys.
Yeah,
and
oh yeah,
mountains and
definitely.
stuff. Is there any pain that you care to share? Because I know when we spoke the other
course.
day, you know, we have a lot of similarities.
No, I'd love to, James. So when I was younger, I was actually, I mean, it wasn't, my childhood, I would say up to 13, 14 was relatively good, although I was quite fat. I mean, you know, so you had the, you know, little bit of name calling going on, but then I had gone to boarding school for a couple of years, and that's where I found really it to be a little more challenging, because that's when I found out, okay, you know, I have to kind of not worry so much about fitting, but it was hard because, you know, you deal with rejection, from that point at an early age, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I came to Canada, and I actually found that you know, it was a culture shock for me. So I would say over the last couple of years, I was in, I had a couple of groups where I learned a lot about myself, you know, that I need to basically place a lot of love, self-love, right? You know, focus on doing the best you can with the gift that you've got. And for me, it was music. So I would definitely say, like, you know, when you have a hardship like rejection or not being able to fit in, I would embrace it. You know, that's fine. So what, right? Find out what makes you tick and go with it.
What's your gift? You know, what is the gift? Your gift is music.
Yes,
now,
it
I
is.
see you brought your guitar. Do you care to share a track with us?
Of course, I would love to.
Let's do it. I'm all ears.
This song is called She Now Flies.
She Now Flies.
Yeah, and this one's actually biographical. It's about a father, you know, father starts about sending his daughter into university, you know.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, so here, let's start. Hey baby, I watch you run around. You make all your little coos and sounds. Daddy's wondering just who you grow up to be. I take your hand and teach you ways to make you a nice human being in a world that's often filled with lies and hypocrisy. Never gonna let you down, oh little girl. You know that I'm always with you. I'm always gonna push for your little dreams. You know that I'm right here for you. Hey baby, you've grown very sweet. Now you're off to university. Yeah, I'm glad, but a part of me just tears to see you leave. Hey baby, I watch you leave the house. Call your name, then I come rush out. Hold you close, then I let go. It's time to set you free. How fast all these years have they flown. Now it's time to let go. How fast all this time has moved on. And see how far that you've gone. You know that I love you always, forever till the time disappears. I know that you will go to wonders. This world is yours for the taking.
Wow.
Thank you so much, James. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. I would absolutely love to be able to do that, my friend. You are such a good singer.
Thank you so much. You know, and that's why I find that a lot of my experiences, you know, the peaks and dips have actually enabled me to channel my emotions, bring it out.
Wow, man.
And you know, thankfully I have my guitar and I have my poetry with me, so I can make music.
You should be like the lead singer of Base Shelter or something.
Oh, I know, right? Isn't that a great job?
Tell us about Base Shelter.
Base Shelter, so basically
That's his band, by the way.
Yeah, my band is called Base Shelter, and it's composed of me. I'm the lead singer, a guitarist, vocalist. I write the lyrics, I play the ukulele, and we also have Neil, who is the producer for our band as well as the drummer. We've got Corinne, who is our lead guitarist, and Tom, who is the bassist.
All amazing guys.
Yep.
I had the honor of having you guys play at the Multicultural Festival,
which I was
the host of, and you know, the recent Dynamo Speaker Talent Search that just happened. You know, you guys just hit it out of the park. So
thank you so
what's
much.
next? I hear there's an album in the mix.
Yes, the album is called Rumors We Make, Paths We Take. It'll be out November 14th.
What's the inspiration behind that?
So rumors we make, paths we take. So basically what it's about is life is like, if you think about it, you know, life is similar to a rumor. What is a rumor? Rumor is nothing but a projected image, right? Which could be or may not be further from reality, right? So for me, I felt like sometimes you have people who generally go through rumors or their life filled, you know, they surround themselves with a lot of ego or things that are not very genuine, right?
Yes.
And paths
Yes.
is the choice you have in the face of rumors. Paths can either mean you can either give in and go with the flow or follow the leader, you know, in the ego trip and things like that, or you can choose to generate love, compassion, being authentic and genuine, right? So to me, the inspiration is making a decision between living in a dream world or an ego-filled world, or accepting reality, being yourself. So that's my inspiration.
On a final note, why don't you share with our viewers how they can actually hire Base Shelter to come and, you know, blow it out of the water with their incredible band?
No, you're so kind. Honestly, you can find, we're online. You just Google beige, as in the color beige, shelter, as in, you know, music is my shelter. I would say for anybody, on a final note, anybody who has an idea or a vision of something you want to do, please go and do it. You know, don't be afraid of trying, because at the end of the day, you've got to focus on everyone. You, me, we all have a gift in us. You know, it could be anything, right? So you just got to go forward with it and roll.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aditya. I am very honored to have Base Shelter on the show. This is the Dynamo Show. I'm James Erdt, and we will see you right after this short commercial break. Welcome back to the Dynamo Show. I am your host, James Erdt, and wow, we are having an amazing show. We've had two really fantastic guests, and we're going to keep it going with Parmida Barez.
Hi, how are you?
Hello,
nice seeing you. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Thank
you know,
you.
I mean, it's been this recent explosion of social media madness with you all over the internet, winning the Dynamo Speaker Talent Search. So
thank you.
Kudos to you. You blew it out of the water.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you, I gotta say, because I know how hard it is to, one, step up and speak like that, but two, to do it with such conviction. You've planted your flag, and I'm an admirer of that. I love people that just not only use their voice, but also use their story. And I know that you have a story, and I would love for you to maybe share a little bit. There's a lot of young viewers that watch this, especially young female entrepreneurs. Care to share a little bit about what you went through to kind of get to the Parmida today?
Sure. You know, it's a mixture of different things. First off, I'm very fortunate to have a family that has always been very supportive of my dreams, and who have always emphasized this idea of gender equality, of equality amongst races, different socioeconomic backgrounds. So I've always felt that confidence to be able to go forward because of that. And also, over the years, this sense of urgency within myself, that I feel that the world is ready for change, that people are ready for change, that they're ready for the evolution of self, right? And I think it was Martin Luther King that said that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter.
Yes.
And that is very important to me.
True.
And that confidence and that courage comes from me being able to be a voice maybe for people who don't have a voice, or people who don't feel empowered enough to do that. Right? Or people who come from different struggles. I myself, I know you know from this speech, I've had ups and downs with anxiety in my past, with depression, with panic attacks, a father who battled with cancer, moving out at a very young age to find my independence. string of, you know, toxic relationships, bad habits, I literally had to retrain myself, reprogram my behaviors in order to reconnect with my highest and most purposeful self, and essentially take myself apart and put myself back together in a more beautiful, more selective, more serving to self way.
I love it, serving the self. I mean, a lot of people talk about serving others all the time, but we sometimes forget about serving ourselves.
I do.
You know, I have what's called a 5 F word system: food, fitness, family, finances, and fun. Right? Really taking care of yourself with the life balance aspect so you can actually serve your circle of influence, your network, the community, and eventually the world.
So true.
So what are you doing in regards to serving the world right now?
Wow, what am I not doing? No, I'm kidding.
It's true. You're
I know people always tell me, Parmida, you're such a jack of all trades, and I say, heck yeah, I am.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's this stigma around being a jack of all trades.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, humans are meant to be multifaceted. We are meant, I mean, a lot of the game changers and great philosophers in history were not only scientists, but they were artists. They were also philosophers. They were doctors. They had so many different things that they had passions about. And I always tell people, go get it. It's okay. You're allowed to be all those things. You don't have to. I think society wants to define you and put you in this box in order for it to be okay, right? The rule book. And I tell people, you know what? You can drive to work in the morning, listen to classical, and rap on your way home. Yeah. You can wear that conservative outfit and then wear your little black dress at nighttime. You know, I always encourage people to really explore. And it's not, I mean, as great as it is to be really good at one thing, it's also okay to be really good at a lot of things, or knowing a little bit about everything. I think breadth is just as important as depth of experience. And sorry, going back to your question, I think that it's a time for people to really step up, and it's a time for people to look in the mirror and, you know, take responsibility for their own, you know, frailty, for their own Achilles heels, and know that, and to label that. And once you do that, there's so much more power. And it's very true about the fact that, I mean, when you go on an airplane, they always tell you, put on your own oxygen mask before you help anybody else, right? So true. And it's so true because we have to get ourselves together. And right now, I'm writing a book and sharing about essentially.
What's the book called?
It's called, well, I can't give that away yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, not
What's
yet. Not yet. Basically, it's, in a nutshell, 25 lessons that I've learned up to this point in my life to help navigate through my life in a more peaceful, higher perspective. I feel like I've been lucky enough to acquire certain tools and ideas and wisdoms that I feel is my moral responsibility to give back. And I feel like if someone can take something away from that to really help them transform their life in some way, then I've done my duty.
Made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, made it all worthwhile. You know?
What gives you the courage and strength to share the way you do? Because you're so passionate. When you're on stage, when we saw you speaking, you know, you just delivered with such conviction. What gives you the courage to do that?
You know, I'd have to say that my spirituality.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that divine source, that intelligence, that, you know, connection to self. I've done a lot of soul searching, so to speak. I mean, I've put myself in 10, 12-day silent meditation retreats where there's nothing but just you meditating. I think introspection leads to growth. That's very important. That's a key thing. That's another thing I talk about in the book, right? Because to know yourself and know who you really are. I mean, we look at ourselves in the mirror every day. We look in our own eyes. But do you really know that energy that's staring back at you behind those eyes, you know? With all the distractions in this day and age, social media, I mean, celebrities, gossip, news, global crises, it's very easy to, right? Exactly. It's very easy to not only get distracted, but to lose your direction, to lose your reason why you even started in the first place, right? And to lose hope, right? So I tell people all the time, literally, motivation is a daily ritual. You have to keep that up all the time. It's like eating and sleeping and breathing. You have to keep continuing to inspire yourself every single day.
Now, has there been any life-altering, you know, situations that has, you know, happened along Parmida's life journey that maybe shaped you who you are today?
There has been a lot. I think for me, and I talk a little bit about this in the book, when I was 19, and I said that in my speech as well, I dealt with severe anxiety disorder. Yes, you did. And it's something that I've overcome, and I'm very happy, and I've helped a lot of people along the way. Thank you, thank you. You know, and I think it's something that's so prevalent. Especially I've worked with the youth. I've been a part of an organization called, I'm actually on the board of directors of an organization called the Excellency in Literacy Foundation. Excellency in Literacy? Excellence in Literacy Foundation. Yeah, and they help to strive end illiteracy, poverty, and they provide free literacy materials, life skills materials.
Is that a Canadian organization?
It is, yeah. And to help marginalized youth, homeless youth, refugees, people coming from low-income families, right? And I think it's important to give back. That's very important. And in order to, that also makes you feel better about your mission and your goal, to be on the front lines and see what's going on, right, in there. And I spent a lot of time tutoring and mentoring, and that really gave me perspective on that. And I found that even the youth anxiety is so prevalent. It is so prevalent. Little children already, right? Yeah. And I had to essentially get back up on my feet. And I remember I wrote a list, and I used to be, overachiever, straight A's.
Used to be.
No, but I meant before the onset of that condition. You know, long time ago, yeah. Before all of this. And I just became, it was at a place where I literally had to start from scratch. Yeah. I literally had to start from scratch, but that was so important because I tell people all the time,
it's okay.
Anxiety is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? People are always so confused when I say that, and I tell them it's a blessing in disguise because you now have a chance to remold and remodel yourself.
It's true.
And I mean, if you break an arm, you see it, it's broken, you understand it. But I mean, when you feel like your mind is broken, that's so intangible. It's so hard. But I think the strongest people are the people who are able to overcome their mind and take power and control of that. And from there, I mean, I did it, I overcame it, and everything has kind of just been upwards ever since then.
Where do you see Parmida in 10 years?
Speaking to large audiences, hopefully a few books in the works, coaching, and just hopefully maybe even starting my own charitable organization.
Nice.
Yeah.
Care to share a little bit about that? What's
Again,
that
in
like?
the works.
If it was a vision of who you want to serve?
You know what? I really have a passion, and again, I went to Teachers College, and the youth. Good. It's always about empowering the youth. To me, I think that, they're the future. They are. Essentially, and I know it's hard to get sidetracked and get distracted, especially, again, in this era. And so...
Let's continue the story after our short
commercial
break.
Let's do it. Thank you. Thanks.
We're going to be right back with Parmida Barez. This is James Erdt, the host of the DYNAMO Show, and you see a lot of synergies between a lot of my guests. Many of them are serving youth in big ways, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back with Parmida. Welcome back to the DYNAMO Show. I am your host, James Erdt, the Chief Architect of WOW for DYNAMO Entrepreneur, where we talk to experts, leaders who are really making a difference, game changers, movers, shakers, doers, and do we have one here today? She is multi-skilled, she is multi-talented. They say she is the jack of all trades, like myself. However, she works smart, and we're going to get into that. Now, working smart versus working hard, okay? How do you do it? How do you get so many things done? Because I know you're really dabbling in a bunch of stuff, but you're doing well in all of them.
Thank you. You know what? It is definitely, I would say, a balance between, you have to sacrifice some things. Okay, it's very important that you're gonna have to sacrifice some things. Yes. There's gonna be some parties you're gonna have to say no to.
Yes.
That's for sure, right? Yeah. There's gonna be times that a part of you tells you and is pulling you to do certain things, but you know that you should probably sit down and write that book or write that one chapter. Yes. It really is organization. You know, putting in work every single day, even if it's this much. It was so funny because I actually was walking in Central Park in New York a little while back with a friend of mine, and we were discussing things about the book and other things were going on, and this concept of stepping up to the plate every single day, even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. Right? And he was saying, just do it. Just do it. He was saying, Parm, even if you swing and you don't hit, it doesn't matter. Why? Because let's say one day you open up that laptop and you just write a whole bunch of gibberish. Maybe you needed to let that gibberish out before you get to the goods. Yeah. Right? Either way, you're still working towards it. And I always tell people, whether it's just going to the gym to stretch, not even doing your full workout, but just getting yourself out there, being in the environment of the gym and stretching, whether it's making it to that appointment on time, right? And these are little things I think
Making it habitual.
Making it habitual, and that's so important, right? Because it only takes a little bit of time before you get into the habit of something, right? But the most important thing I think is that it's much easier to break a habit than to build it and hold on to. And you have to hold on really tightly to the good habits that
good ones.
The good ones that you make for yourself,
you know,
right?
Because some of the undesirable ones go a little bit, and people.
And they do.
You know,
That's
as we
very
elevate,
true,
you know, I'm sure you're experiencing a lot of this. People kind of just fall off.
They do.
You know, we elevate our frequency, especially as light workers and movers and shakers and doers and game changers. People that eventually become famous for good things, that utilize that power for good stuff, like yourself. You know, just like take for example, like this book that you're writing. You just think about the people you're going to inspire. Let's say, you know, you were talking to a group of individuals. Let's say those young entrepreneurs again. Would you care to share maybe 3 nuggets of the 25? Maybe the ones that come top of mind.
I will. Okay. Number one, I think for me, and this goes back to health. I think. Okay. Celebrate the small victories.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is so important. I know the youth of today, especially with social media, oh, this 25-year-old became a bajillionaire overnight, okay? Yeah. Like, and there's always this pressure of go, 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 one thing after another. But if you don't take time out for yourself to be like, hey, I did this. It's okay. Give myself a pat on the back today. Yeah. You're allowed to do that. And that was one of my issues for a while. I was just going, one thing after another. And then,
what do you do to pat yourself on the back? How do you celebrate?
You know what? For me, it's about spending time with my family. Yeah. It really is.
What did you do after you won the Dynamo Speaker Talent?
I was hanging out with my friends and my family. Yeah. We went out. Just had some good food, you know. Talked, had a good time. And that's another thing. Having, and this goes back to another chapter in the book, having a support system that keeps you in line. Because, of course, we have to be self-accountable. That's for sure. But, you know, surrounding yourself with people who are going to give you that nudge when you're falling off track. Who tell you, hey,
good people.
This isn't your best self. This isn't your higher self. So having a good few honest people around you to kind of keep you in line, you know, or give you that phone call.
No. You know?
Yeah, and see, that's a big difference. There's so many yes men and yes women, and that's not what you need. Yes. You need people to like shake you up and be like, this is not the Parmida, that's her highest self. Like, I know you can do better than this, right? And that's so important. Another one that I have is being aware of your environment and your space and because, you know, it's energy, it really is. And I was saying this in my speech, even the music you listen to, it affects how you act, how you think, how you talk. Sure. What are you reading? What are you watching? You know, what are you doing? You have to hold yourself accountable to these. These are very important questions. Yeah. Because then you fall into certain negative patterns and, you know, a few months down the line, you're like, who am I? Yeah. No, it seriously happens, right? Yeah. And it's so important. Like, I think there was a period of my time, and I know when I'll fall off, I'll catch myself, where there'll be a period of time where I'll stop watching certain videos or motivational or inspirational things that I know that I should be watching on a daily ritual to keep myself in check, right? But once you let yourself fall off for too long, that's when it becomes dangerous. Right? You got to keep yourself continually
like a ball, you
know,
you put it in motion. It's easier to keep the ball in motion than it is to start that ball again.
Right? So keep those little organizational habits, those little inspirational videos, those little readings that you want to do. Very important to keep you inspired.
Parmida? Is there any like, you know, motivational speaking stars or authors, movie stars?
I'm so excited you're asking this. Okay. God rest his soul, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Power of Intention.
I've been able to meet, that book changed my life. I'm very lucky to say that I was able to meet him on a few occasions, talk to him. And that power of intention, that was actually, that triggered and catapulted me into where I am spiritually. That was the first thing, that was the inception, power of intention. Watching that 2-hour video. Yeah. I didn't read it actually.
Shift?
I did. I watched that movie, it was beautiful.
That movie, I actually, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. I wrote every single word of the movie, and I actually have it on my phone. I recite the entire thing over and over and over again. That's the most profound work of his that I've come across.
It's literally a game changer. And I think, and we were talking about.
All excited about Wayne.
I know, I'm like, oh my God, you're talking about Wayne all day long. I love him. And honestly, I channel him all the time. And I actually, I think the foreword to my book is
nice.
It's pretty, I know.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
I know.
Really, really cool.
And I think one of the things that stood out to me, and I actually have it tattooed, okay, is this is how I got started into getting off that anxiety and everything and moving forward to the successful place that I am now. He told me about this mantra called "How may I serve?"
How may I serve?
How may I serve?
Okay.
And not only, I think I practiced that through meditation a lot, and because I was lost, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know what I was going to do after I graduate from university, like where am I going, what's my mission, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing that a lot of youth go through, like changing majors, oh my God, what's going on? And he said, you know, repeat this to yourself over and over for a period of time, especially 5 minutes before bed, because that's when your mind is, you know, open and receptive to making those subconscious changes, right?
Yes.
And I swear to you, I'm not kidding, 2 weeks, I every night before bed, over and over, just how may I serve? And remember, when you're saying the word how may I serve, you're almost asking the universe, how may I serve? But in response, it replies back, how may I serve you? So it's almost like serving yourself, right? But it's like, I needed to know, what did I come here to do?
Yeah.
What is the point of what's the gift? Please tell me. And by the way, I had no music in my life at that point, you know, and I have a music career now. I have 2 music videos, and I've been able to work with a lot of different artists and songwrite and sing and find my voice through music, because that's another channel to be able to speak.
I got my first song coming out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
I kind of retired from, you know, business to really become a full-time philanthropist.
Oh, wow.
It was 6 months ago, and I thought, how am I going to get through to these kids? Hip hop.
Yes, and honestly, and that's another way. Actually, a lot of my music has an undertone of hip hop, and it's because, you know, it's popular music and it's mainstream music, and it has
Kids
so much
love it
vibe.
right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We love it, right?
Good positive vibe. I mean,
Positive
there's a lot of
vibe,
negative
right?
hip-hop too.
And that's the thing, and that's
Right?
the trajectory. I feel like artists in the past, like, I mean, not in hip hop specifically, but like Nina Simone, for example, they advocated, and music is such a powerful tool and way,
their flag.
such a platform to be able to really speak and reach people and cross borders and nationalities and really get into people's hearts and souls. So that's why I do that, because it's another way, rather than public speaking, but through music to get there. But this How May I Serve, I kid you not, I did that for 2 weeks, and I had a dream. Okay, out of the blue. Listen, no music in my life, no board of directors, no charities, no teachers college, nothing. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I have this dream, and it was the most vivid dream I've ever had in my entire life. And I got up and I was like, I gotta write a song. I've never written a song before.
Just like that.
No idea how to write a song.
Just like that.
Just no idea. I researched all night programs to make beats, because I don't play instruments. What am I doing, right?
Nice.
And I kid you not, a week after, I had 12 songs. 12 songs. Oh. And then like a little bit after that, they called me from LA. I put one demo out on YouTube. They called me from LA. Do you want to do a show out here?
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You're
Started doing meetings. One after another. Got a phone call. Hey, do you want to come help us out in this organization? Did all this volunteering. Suddenly, out of 4,000 people, got accepted to Teachers College.
Nice.
You know, out of the blue. Just like one by one after another. And it's the mantra. It's how may I serve, you know? When you find out how you can be of service.
Parmida, thank you so much for coming on
you.
the show today.
Thank you.
You are an attractor factor,
Thank
you know,
you.
and you're doing some really big things, and I commend you on your win again for the Dynamo Speaker Talent Search, and I'm sure there's going to be big things ahead for you.
Thanks, I hope so. Thank you for making it all possible.
Parmida Barez, everyone. This is the Dynamo Show. I am James Erdt. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on episode 21.